Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Monday morning trading session. The markets just opened up. Normally, Monday mornings, I try not to get too excited. First thing, all the orders hitting the floor and so on. Okay, what you're looking at here is the NASDAQ. We've got the Hawk Scalper here in the top left corner. Falcon Swing Trader top right, Eagle Trend Trader bottom left, and the Raptor on the bottom right. I'm also following the soybean market and crude oil on my other monitor, but I would be happy to take a look at any market that's of interest to you. Just got a new pair of glasses and I'm fighting to get used to the prescription. Everything is still a little bit blurry as I try to find the right focal points. All right, well, let's take a look here where the market's been here in the overnight. You can see that we're kind of stuck in a bit of a sideways range. Yesterday, or on Friday's session, the market did tail off a little bit after the close, or toward the close. And since this morning, or since the London Open, market's come down a little bit and we're kind of moving sideways. So I think, well, we'll see how long it takes us to get outside of this range, this sideways range. We do have a double pullback here on the Raptor. We'll see if it comes out of this and doesn't generate a sell signal. Soybeans a little bit more bullish this morning. There's a trend line left over from the other day. A little bit of an opening gap. Friday session you can see in beans. Fairly, well, they did put in an early rally, didn't they? And then they kind of went sideways after that. Here we are with a possible late filter entry signal. Oh, there they go. I was too slow getting that one ready. We'll see if we get a reaction here in a second push on this entry. We'll come back to that. And crude oil trying to press a little bit higher. So here's crude oil on the Eagle, just in the wee hours, just as the market opened, we had this a red bar buy signal. The band was just turning over, but you can see that it looks as though crude oil definitely in a bit of an uptrend today. So we'll look for buying opportunities in crude oil. All right, we're getting sell signals now. Oh, where's my logic counter? Well, first, let's do this. I'll enter on the other side of the ATR line. I wonder if I can add a logic counter without messing that up. Where are you, logic counter? Okay, well, I better not mess up with it right now. Okay, so we picked up a sell signal there on the Eagle. Oh, darn it. I was messing around too much with my Eagle. We had a comparable sell signal here on the Falcon. And we're getting a first micro-macro cross signal here on the Hawk. So we're still range bound. I would definitely take this. Oh, what happened to my logic counter here? I've lost my logic counter. Where did it go? Well, isn't that odd? My handy dandy logic counter, which forecasts where the market will, or where the bar will finish. So can I cover the whole range? Yep, I can. Let's try that. It's a little bit heavy on the risk side, you can see here. Oh, Michelle says she's also lost her logic counter today. Isn't that the strangest thing? Okay, now we're into yellow bars, so I can cancel that. I have to see if my logic counter is still loaded. And to do that, you go to your control center, and we want utilities, and I want to go here to remove NinjaScript. Oh. All right. It looks like it's time for an email to Ben. Okay, now I want to give myself, oops, that's not what I want. I want to be above that swing high right there. Oh, you're kidding me. Come on, you guys. You're not going to fill me on the low and then make an about face. Oh, you scoundrels. Oh, that is not nice. That's at quarter to? No. That's usually the type of signal I get at quarter to the hour. Oh, that was rude. Hi, sorry about that. Technology is wonderful when it works, but what I was saying is, and you probably recognize the drawings, was the fact that we have a first micro-macro cross here, but we haven't really had a test of the extreme. We've broken the resistance. We should see a retest of the resistance, and this retest may also develop into being the test of the extreme. What's difficult to tell at this point is whether this here has already been our test of the extreme. And now we're back into yellow bars. And so all that is off the table. And here we are with a green bar sell. All right, here we go. I know you're saying, Eric, what? You're selling it again? It's a green bar sell signal, which tends to be a fairly reliable signal. I'm holding my stop up here. You can see I've given it a little bit more room. I'm up above this swing high here. Wouldn't that just be terrible again to get stopped out because my stop was a little bit too cozy? This market's still really lost, still very sideways. I was hoping we were done with that. Yes, if I ever disappear like that, sometimes it takes me a minute to realize that the mute is on. It's actually it happens is the recording software cuts me out. I don't know why, but it does. Okay, this is the big bounce now. This is the one that's going to set the tone. We've got a warning dot. If we can get below this little trend line that's formed here, then we should be in good shape. And I'm holding my stop until we get that reaction. Working on a possible trend change signal here with the Falcon. Soybeans making a full reversal, getting back to where they started the day. Let's take a look at soybeans here on the hawk. You can see there's a little bit of a opening gap from Friday session to Monday morning session. And they started the day here at, well, pretty much at the 980 mark, and that's where we are again. So soybeans also a little reluctant to commit. Ooh, the DAX is selling off. Thanks, James. And James tells us our advanced decline is about 900 to the good, which is a bullish sign. his message came a few minutes late. Could have originated around this rally here as the market was topping out a little bit. Oh, come on, you guys. They got to fight their way below this low. This is a real big deal. You can see our hawk back into yellow bars. I hate that. Come on. Come on down. There you go. Michelle is asking about the DAX hawk. 1 second here, Michelle, and I will pull up the DAX. Michelle is asking a macro line pullback on the DAX. Let's take a look. Yeah, the DAX, look at this. It's almost a carbon copy of what we're seeing in the NASDAQ, where we're getting all these yellow bars. Yeah, it's hard to say because the good thing is we've had this green bar sell, which seems to have failed. So I might be a little bit more bullish on the DAX at the moment, but we have the same problem. So long as the market is stuck inside this range, any signal we take is going to be higher risk. The smart thing to do is to sit on your hands until we break out, retest, and then look to buy, and vice versa. So it looks as though we've broken out to the upside. So now we're getting a proper first micro-macro cross. Even this one, though, I would take above the high. I would probably try to cover it there. Oop, come back here. Now, if I had taken this on the hash mark, I bet you I hit my profit target. Yeah, it did. So now that we've had that breakout to the upside, and it looks like a little bit of a retest, although we might get a bigger retest. You know, we've had this line come across it here, and we had the quick little retest, the first micro-macro cross signal with the buy, but I would not be surprised to see a larger retest here, perhaps something resembling a macro pullback, and then another buying opportunity. So you may want to leave this line in play just as a reminder that when the market comes back here, we might see another buying opportunity. Good observation, Michelle. Okay, the NQ still struggling a bit. Still sideways. Same scenario. You know, I'm not saying you can't take trades when the market is obviously range bound like this. Just be aware that any trade you take, so long as the market is between, looks like between here and here, any trade you take is going to have higher risk associated with it because the market is sideways. You see here we had a first micro-macro cross signal, no follow through. Another first micro-macro cross signal, no follow through. First micro-macro cross signal, no follow through. What does that tell you about a signal that has such a high probability and yet the market won't trigger and follow through on it? Tells you that maybe it's not, not a market you want to be in at the moment. Perhaps what I should have done here on my Eagle trade is dial down my risk a little bit. All right, here they come again. Boy, the buyers are just holding the line. Here's something we don't, or that I haven't seen very often in the Raptor, is a red bar and a buy signal. This is something that's actually very common in the Eagle. Now the Eagle, of course, is a different tool. But here we get a green bar and a sell signal. It tends to be a very reliable signal. Here we get red bars with buy signals. See here, red bar buy, red bar buy. Here's a green bar with a sell. Fairly confident that trade will work. Here we're getting a trend change signal now on the Falcon in the same neighborhood as what we've been looking at with the Eagle. Namely, we've got all this trend line support down here, the market kind of going a little bit sideways on us. We're still range locked, right? This is the same situation that we've been looking at with the hawk. Is this a tradable signal? Yes, it is. But when we trade a signal like this within this kind of range, we need to try to protect ourselves. Oops. Oh, come back here now. All right, let's see if I can get a second push on the entry. It looks like it's going to do that. I'm going to cover it above the high. It is a trend change signal, but you can see we obviously have a lot of support to deal with. There's support here. There's more support here at our primary support line. The other thing I can do, of course, is I can dial down the risk amount. Maybe I'll just only risk 1% of my account. That way, if the trade goes sideways, well, I haven't risked very much of my capital. All right. Here, Jim says this formation on his was a yellow bar, which is sometimes that will happen. It depends on your data provider. And we are getting a sell signal here on the Raptor also. And same deal. I might dial down the risk, only risk one contract. I will leave my stop further back. The buyers and the sellers just trading punches at the moment. Now here on this Falcon trade, you can see we've since started generating green dots, so I'm going to cancel that. Michelle says, take a look at crude and on the Hawk and the Falcon. Here's crude oil on the Hawk. It's had the makings of a macro pullback. I think that's when Michelle started writing me. The thing with crude oil is it's very much in an uptrend. So, you know, buying opportunities would be good. This yellow bar spoiled our setup. Here is the Falcon. Working on a possible trend change. We do have a double dot sell signal here. Nothing that I would want to get too excited about. We'll throw a trend line across the bottom here, just see where it falls. So there's certainly room for crude oil to head a little bit lower, even just based on the trend the trend lines. Oh wow, here comes the NASDAQ again. Well, I'm not liking the buy signal that's going on here, and since we have a conflicting signal now in the Raptor, we'll change that, or cancel that, I should say. Okay, the beginnings of a green bar sell signal here. I'm not going to take it because we are still range locked. I'm going to use it more as an early warning. If it follows through, I should get a first micro macro cross lower. If it fails, I should get a first micro macro cross higher. So once again, the stock market at odds with the NASDAQ. This time, however, the NASDAQ is looking a little weaker and the stock market is looking a little stronger. Come on, sellers, where'd you go? Well, here they are all the way back up to the top end of the trading range. Okay, well, they're bumping up against the top end of the trading range. Just watching crude oil and soybeans, and they're not doing much either. It's just one of those mornings right now. Charles says the DAX is doing pretty well, and Jim says the advanced decline is still holding its own at around 1100, both of which might be considered bullish. Now that we've gotten outside of this range, I'm more open to buying opportunity. All right, soybeans here giving us a trend change signal finally. Actually, it's a double trend change signal. The signal just tripped before I had a chance to bring it over to you, but we might get a chance at a second push on this entry. So what I'm looking for now is a little bit of a reaction here off of this bar. And that would, can I cover it all the way down there? No, I can't. That's too far, at least risking 1% of my account. So I'll risk it toward where the swing in the trend line comes. And I'm going to disengage my stops for the moment. I do want to see this show me that, perhaps it's going to pull back a little bit more. All right, well, I'll throw the order in. It's not as much of a second push entry as I normally like to see. There, that was a little better. We got a little bit lower. So now if we get some renewed momentum there, maybe we'll see some follow through on it. Okay, the NQ just getting outside of this trading range now. We're actually still, if we take the London session into account, we've still got this area to deal with. But at any rate, if the market is truly ready to head higher, we should get a trend change signal now out of this rally. That would be on the Falcon. We did get a first micro-macro cross signal develop right here at the, or at least at that swing high. But once again, if I roll back here, you can see the London session topped out right there. Well, there's just no activity today, which is very odd for a Monday. You can see prices still struggling with the top end of this trading range that we've identified by that line right there. I'm just flipping around through some charts, looking to see if there's anything interesting going on, but I'm not finding anything. Here's the mini Dow, the YM, here on the Raptor. And they've been fairly strong since the market opened, but even now in the Raptor, everything's going more or less sideways, or here on the Dow, I should say. Well, we're coming up to bottom of the hour, 10:30 Eastern. Sometimes we see the market shake up a little bit when it gets to this particular time period. So all I'm waiting for now is to see if this reaction is actually going to hold, or if we're going to see the market break down yet again before I get too excited about buying. If it drifts too deep after this breakout, then it may not be trustworthy. Yeah, I know Dustin's asking about this first micro-macro cross signal here. Why didn't I take it? It's not that it wasn't worth taking, Dustin. You're right about the test of the extreme. He's saying, did you not take it because there was no test of the extreme? I actually, Dustin, honestly, I missed it because I was watching my other chart. Had I seen it, I would have taken it, but I would have risked it rather deep because of the lack of a test of the extreme. I wouldn't know at this point whether this trade would actually turn into a macro pullback or whether it would go on to reach the first profit target, which is what it did. It went up, hit the profit target, and then started to react. But no, it wasn't, I didn't take it because of the lack of the test of the extreme. In fact, sometimes the only problem with the test of the extreme really is that sometimes it's not clear until the move has already happened, because in hindsight you can say the test of the extreme occurred right there and then the market rallied. Or you could even take it like this as your test of the extreme. Oops. You could even say this was the test of the extreme. Here was the first micro-macro cross. But I know exactly what you're getting at. You're looking at this and you're saying, wow, this market came up pretty quick. Oops. You're saying this market came up pretty quick. I'm generating a signal. It may pull back. And that would have been my thought also, which is why I would have ran the stop a little bit deeper, just in case it wasn't ready pulling back yet. But no, it was a valid signal, and my fault that I was looking somewhere and missed it. Well, crude oil still in a bit of a sideways trend. Soybeans not doing much either, really. Possible macro pullback. Oh, Dustin says at 641. Oh, yes. Well, same sort of deal here, Dustin. The problem we're having are all these yellow bars, right? There's no direction to this market at the moment. You can see still printing a lot of yellow bars. Dustin was asking about this signal right here, this first micro-macro cross signal. And we knew there was something wrong with the market because look at all the first micro-macro cross signals we had that didn't go anywhere. Here was one to the downside. Here was one to the upside. Nothing is working out. Here is the other signal that Dustin took, and the market came back and stopped them out. You did have a little bit of a chance here to tighten your stop, depending how deep you ran your stop, but this is problematic because it's telling you there's no follow through here. You have to, yes, you can take the signals blindly, but it doesn't hurt to take a look at what's going on and try to judge whether the risk, whether it's a calculated risk. Like this first micro-macro cross, this one I did see. We just broke this swing high here. And in fact, I think I actually set up to take this one above the high, tried to risk it down there, or maybe not. Maybe I just missed that one. Dustin probably set his up similar, and then the market came back and did a full-on reversal. When the market is going sideways like this, it's very, very difficult to trade. That's why, I took a couple of pokes at it. It's not following through. I'm really not prepared to do much until I can see that we're outside of this range and staying outside of this range. Like right now, I'm getting a macro pullback signal, which it too does not have a lot of life to it. So definitely I'm dialing down the risk. Maybe throw a onesie in, maybe cover it down there. But I'm definitely going to make this market prove itself. So whenever you see a lot of yellow bars like this, whenever you see a lack of commitment, don't be in a hurry to take a trade. Because you're probably, and I'm not saying you shouldn't take a trade, because sure as anything, the trade that you pass on is the one that's going to rock it. But be suspicious. And I know that's not helping very much, and I apologize. Sometimes there's not really a good way to explain this other than, the market is not behaving very well. We did have follow through on this first micro-macro cross, and now we're back down here. We're generating a macro pullback signal. My hash mark will probably print somewhere around here. It's always a judgment call. It's always going to be, do I want to enter on the other side of the trend line and perhaps be a little bit safer, or am I going to wait for the hash mark to print and enter off of the hash mark? Boy, I missed my logic counter. Okay, so there's my hash mark. Do I enter on the hash mark? Do I enter above the high? Do I enter above the trend line? These are all options available to you. Do I wait for a second push entry? There's no right answer here. If you're going to take it on the hash mark, which there's nothing wrong with doing that, I'm going to risk it a little bit deeper. And maybe I'll even just default to a onesie. I'll just go to manual mode, throw a one lot on it. If it works, I can always add to it. And if it doesn't work, well, then I'm out a minimal amount, right? Because I don't know how the market is behaving. We've all seen the market trading well, where the signals produce, they follow through. You can see this is a little bit of a bull flag type formation. There's no question the market is at a juncture right now. That's why we're getting all these yellow bars. If the market breaks down from here, it will head lower. If the market manages to rally, it will go higher, maybe not a lot higher, but I could see, 44, 64, 65, somewhere in there. That would still be a decent rally for today. So we know, again, the macro pullback signal tends to be a reliable signal. You'll notice the signal printed about the same place as the first micro-macro cross. And you're never going to know with 100% certainty. Right? The signals are always going to be, there's always going to be a piece to the puzzle missing, and sometimes you just have to play the probabilities. So now that this market is rallying, I can be a little bit more aggressive with my stop, right? I know this swing point is holding. There's this bar here with a little bit of a tail to it. I could roll below there. As I get closer to my profit target, okay, that's close enough for me to take this trade to break even now. You can see I just kissed the profit target. It hasn't filled yet. I did take the entry right on the hash mark, so I know I'm dealing with my high probability target. And it's true, like sometimes the market will bring you in, like right here, and not even give you a chance to get out. It's unfortunate, but it does happen. Well, and that was a bit of a shame. They hit our high probability target and didn't even give us that extra tick. On days like today too, I tend to be a little bit more aggressive on the stops, usually. I wasn't as aggressive on the stop here on this eagle trade as I should have been, and I do regret that. But I was hoping we'd have better follow through on that green bar sell. And, the way they're going now, they might take the rest of the morning to sort things out. It's hard to say. Very often, if there is nothing going on in the morning, we will see more activity in the afternoon. Crude oil here with a possible trend change signal on the Falcon, if I can get it over here for you. So we do have the trend change signal. You can see the market very much going sideways. This is another one where, you know, we're trading contra to a dominant trend. You're going to want to run a deeper stop. I'm going to wait for that hash mark to print. Right now we just have the warning dot. Crude oil being what it is, I can't dial down my risk amount. But if it were another market, that is precisely what I would be doing. We've got a quick trend change signal here brewing on the NQ. So we have our little mini test of the extreme here, our down, up, down pattern, signal printing near the bottom of the formation, which is what we like to see. The nice thing about these patterns is that you can risk them all the way to the swing high, which makes it an inviting setup. Even though the market may not have much direction to it. You know, if you put this chart in front of a kid and you said, which way is this chart going? What would they tell you? Would they say up, down, or sideways? Little kids are good at cutting through the garbage. They might well say that it's sideways or maybe even moving up, in which case, if this bar changes green, we may actually develop into a late filter entry for a buy. Okay, and now we're getting yet another macro pullback signal. We know that we normally only see two macro pullbacks within a trend. This also becomes a little bit of a logistical problem because we can see some sort of resistance perhaps coming in at that little trend line. So maybe I'll risk it a little tighter, do something like that. Now we know we normally only get two macro pullbacks within a trend. So this may well turn out to be a sign of weakness. I know I sound like I'm waffling a lot today, but it's just, like I said, the market has no real direction to it. So any trade you take is going to be a higher risk trade today, at least until things settle out a little bit. Here comes crude oil again with the Falcon, possible trend change signal. We're getting that warning dot. We'll put that away for now, but I am keeping a lookout for that. Okay, so now you can see how this is flipping back and forth. It goes a couple ticks higher, the trend line stays green, comes a couple ticks lower, the trend line turns red. So it's either going to be a late filter entry buy or a possible early trend change signal lower. And those early trend change signals, you know, they get you in early, but they're a little riskier setup-wise than going with the higher probability proper trend change signal, where you actually let the trend line change color, you get the pullback, and then you come back with the buy signal. Or in this case, a sell signal. Now, I've got to write, if anybody else is having problems with their logic counter today, do me a favor, write Ben, and I don't mean to slam Ben with emails, but write Ben at support@indicatorwarehouse.com. And while we're waiting for this to unfold, I'm going to do precisely that. And you can see the conflict here too. Like, how often have you seen me take, say, the hawk long and the falcon or eagle short? Like, it never happens, and yet that's exactly what we have going on here today. That's not a good sign either. Okay. I just need to get an error message here for, let's make sure the logic counter really isn't here. No, I don't see it anywhere. Okay, it's looking now like things are trying to shape up. Trying. The NQ now coming back with the proper trend change signal. So here's the move that changed the trend line color. No surprise that we're seeing the market trying to react to that move. So we might see a couple of green bars here, after which we should see the sellers come back and start to press the market lower again. Ooh, Jim says the advanced decline still very strong to the upside. Crude oil just gave us that signal here on the Falcon. So we did actually get a positive slip here on this one. And this is off of a proper trend change signal. So here's a leg that changed the trend line color. Here's the reaction. Here's the sellers coming back. And we'll see whether or not they can actually force that lower now. Bit of a scrambling day today. Okay, we are getting a first micro-macro cross signal. And you can see here from the eagle that we're bouncing off of this trend line that I've drawn down here. So for that reason, at the moment anyways, I'm not going to take this first micro-macro cross until we can get down below that low. Now the higher it goes, I'm going to have to adjust my entry because, well, let's say my logic counter will probably finish right there. Right now I'm only giving up about 3 ticks of my profit to get the better entry. But you know, if the bars continue higher and I end up entering here, I'm giving up too much of the open profit before I get entry. So right now, nice thing about delaying my entry also is I can run my stop a little bit tighter. Oh, and I said I was going to go with the stop limit. Not that I expect any slippage today. on the lookout for that first micro-macro cross signal. Boy, the NASDAQ's been a very slow roller coaster today. Well, at least crude oil is behaving a little bit. So here's crude now. They're heading lower. You see this bar here with this wick on it? I'll either bring the trade to break even or at the very least I'll roll it above there. Never forget to temper your trade against your open profit either. You know, like there's nothing wrong with punching out for $150 profit, whether or not it continues to hit the profit objective here. It's the old bird in the hand scenario. Like, would you rather have guaranteed profit of $100 or the chance at 200? It's a big question. It's a question all of us need to answer too. Well, we'll give them a few more minutes to shape up here. Maybe we can get a hold of this first micro-macro cross, which looks like it's going to end up going back into a macro pullback, which is okay. I'm okay with that. But if it starts drifting into yellow bars again, then I think I might be done for the day. If you are going to hang out this afternoon, you might see things loosen up a little bit. I can't help but think that when the market goes sideways, that it will eventually end up going lower. There's an expression that says you always need to feed a bull market, but you don't have to do anything for a bear market. So you always have to feed a bull market for prices to go higher, but you don't have to do anything for a bear market for prices to go lower. So if there's no news, or good news at least, well, I should say there hasn't really been good news in the market for a long time, and yet the stock indices keep rallying. So any news at all to fuel the fire. If there's lack of any type of news, we're probably going to see the NASDAQ head lower. Same thing with the rest of the stock indices. Crude oil currently seems content to hover around between $46 and $47 a barrel. Jim says, never short a boring market. That's an interesting one too. I like that. Suncom says, crude oil seems to have been pretty good this morning. Not bad on the Falcon. We did get that one Falcon signal, but the Hawk, well, I should say it depends when you started trading it, because crude oil opens at 6 a.m. my time. Nice first micro-macro cross signal. Good follow through there. This yellow bar unfortunately spoiled the macro pullback signal. We did have a sort of a three-arrow consolidation here that didn't follow through, and since then we're kind of moving sideways, working on a first micro-macro cross lower. We did get this is crude oil again, a red bar buy right out of the open. Might have been a little bit difficult to catch, quite honestly, but very good follow through on that Eagle trade. And we're setting up for that macro pullback signal now here. And without my logic counter, I need to wait for it to actually print. And once again, we're getting conflicting signals, not something that I'd like to see. We're getting a red bar buy here on the Eagle. Red bar buys tend to be strong signals. And yet we're getting a possible macro pullback sell signal here in the Hawk. So not what we want to see. We don't want to see conflicting signals like this. Yes, one side will work out, or should work out. All right, so there's the macro pullback signal. Let's see if this builds into anything. Same thing, I'm dialing down my risk. I'm going to try to risk it way up here. And disable my stops for the moment. Hardly the best looking trade, folks. And as I've been preaching all morning, these yellow bars, normally, if I was just trading on my own and I saw all these yellow bars, if I didn't have you guys in the room to explain stuff to, I would go do something else. Honestly, I would. If I opened up my charts and I saw this, I would probably go have a bite to eat, come back, and if it looked like this, I might hang around for a little bit, look for a possible buy. And then when it drifted down like this, again, I would go do something else, come back in another 10, 15 minutes and see what gives. Like I said, personally, I think there is more potential here to the downside, given the lack of follow through to the upside. Yeah, and Jim just posted the same thing, high advancers and no follow through. Yes, that's the issue, right? We keep seeing them try, and yet nothing really going on. And once again, that's all characteristic of a sideways market. of a choppy market. People always ask, how do you trade a choppy market? Well, the best way is not to trade it. By definition, a choppy market is choppy, right? They have no follow-through. You need to run enormous stops. At the very least, you need to dial down your risk exposure considerably. All right, you guys, I think we're going to close up the room for the day. If you are going to trade this afternoon, well, I would have guessed that lower is the better side to be on. Sellers, I think, have the upper hand, but honestly, you could flip a coin today. The buyers have just as strong a chance to rally this market some more. Hopefully tomorrow will be a better day, and well, I guess we'll see you guys then. All right, so be careful if you're trading today. We'll talk to you later. Bye for now.